the options that we are given are never all the options available. In fact, the options that we believe that we base our day-to-day choices on are more than likely given to you with an agenda, knowing that you are so busy with the life that you chose for yourself and your family. Some examples of how this has negatively impacted on our society are in careers. How many of us are doing today what we dreamed we would be doing as children? How many of us are actually in right faculty of our personalities and are doing what we actually want to be doing? If you scoff at the previous remark as just an unrealistic fantasy, then somewhere along your timeline you were given certain career choices which you chose from. But instead of looking at the real options available and making your choice from there, you settled for the options given to you. Politics, given a list of candidates and political parties to choose from, is in no way freedom of choice. You are given a selection of options chosen by corporations nicely disguised as an election when in fact the people or parties who you end up voting for are more than likely the complete opposite of what you actually believe should be in place of our so-called leaders. This is a form of word magic. Then after the elections, we believe that through our rights and freedom that the best party is representing us, and again end up a few years down the line regretting ever voting for such a leadership. And then to rectify the situation, we go through the same process again and again, believing that the leaders we have representing us have our best interests in mind, when it's nothing more than a corporate system which we created that is really ruining us. In fact, our choices have been diminishing at such a rapid rate recently that we have become completely complacent with being given an option from a corporate entity and obeying it without question. What is a sigil? Who uses them? How can it help one in spell work and magic? All important questions, but we should start with a definition. The word sigil comes from the Latin word sigillum, meaning seal. We are not talking of a seal found on plumbing pipes, more in tune with a seal the president or king would attach to a document in wax. This is used so one knows where the document originates from. Magically, this is known as a signature of the entity or an idea that we are attempting to manifest. Many religions use a pictorial key to access the type of emotions of people. Many Christians see the cross as a sign of God. A sigil is a tool for manifesting an idea or attempting to control forces far beyond human comprehensions. Many medieval magi used a sigil to summon and control angels and demons. Many of those sigils are stored in grimoires such as the Lesser Key of Solomon. Chaos magicians have created a new way to create sigils. They write what they want and then work the letters together to form a symbol, which has also been taken on by many other pagan and witchcraft traditions as the standardized way of creating sigils today. Other orders and covens have passed sigils from one generation to the next. Even newer books such as the Necronomicon use sigils. Consider them a certain kind of magical creation that has the desire of the creator held within a secret alphabet. Those that work or scribe with the sigil and try to connect with the forces it represents or use it in practical magic or spell work. Sigils are all created through magic and religion, from the ceremonial magician to the hoodoo practitioner, which goes to further prove how commonplace they are. Common or not, they are an important aspect of magical working and cornerstone to spellcraft, as they are easy to create once you get the hang of it and are as powerful as the energy that is put into them. Furthermore, they can be magically charged for greater results. This magic has great scope because it can be used for simple spells or aid in elevating you beyond your karma. A sigil is a compressed idea that needs to be filled with emotion and energy, or the name of some cosmic power. Those who have the skill for this type of magic needs to take great care in working with others, because sigils are more than just a symbol but the authority to create. It transmits the specific message that projects in and through the magus for which This is a tool that starts with your words and ends with your will. They are used to evoke angels, demons, planetary energy and ancient gods in hopes to control them or gain their help. There is much more emotional and psychological contact with raw forces, so these rituals practiced with care very much like handling fire or toxic waste. Thus, be prepared that something could go wrong and do not undertake complex sigil work making unless you really are sure that you know what you are doing.
slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage. Born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
A common misconception among people is that any rule or regulation that governs them falls under one category, law. But there are many other forms of law that people abide by without realizing that they simply do not apply to them. Another misconception is that a nation's constitution gives us our rights. A constitution does nothing more than list the rights that we already have. We are born with inalienable rights, endowed to us by our Creator. They are not given to us, and they cannot be given away. The most a person can do with a right is choose whether to exercise it or not. Maritime Admiralty law is what's known as the law of the water. It is superseded by civil law and only applies to those who willingly contract themselves into it. The definition of Admiralty law is a body of private international law governing the relationships between private entities which operate vessels on the oceans. Let's look at how and why a form of law that is fashioned to govern corporations, businesses, and vessels has imposed its rule over natural human beings. This is all done through a form of word magic. A simple perversion of language has made it possible to convince people around the world that these alternative laws apply to them. One of the predominant beliefs in modern culture is that licenses, permits, registrations, and other forms of documentation are required to operate motor vehicles, use public roads, build structures and establishments, engage in free enterprise, and much more. Sadly, these beliefs are based on little to no investigation whatsoever, and are false. This belief structure is perpetuated by Maritime Admiralty law. This form of law was originally created to govern ships docking in foreign nations for the import or export of products and resources. It deals with banking and merchant affairs, not civil affairs. When a product is taken off of a ship and brought into a foreign land, that nation takes custody of the resource and accounts for it with a certificate. That certificate marks the birth date of that product in the custody of the respective nation. Think of why it is supposedly required to have a certificate of live birth in the first place. The Barron's Dictionary of Banking Terms defines a certificate as a paper establishing an ownership claim. So right there, we notice that everyone with a birth certificate is defined as being owned. People are used as collateral with other nations because the U.S. is bankrupt. The United States declared bankruptcy on March 9th of 1933. At this point, the U.S. began taking out loans from a private, non-government affiliated corporation called the Federal Reserve. With no money to pay back the loans, the United States began using the citizens as collateral. All birth and marriage certificates are literally warehouse receipts. Just look at the similarities of warehouse receipts and birth certificates. Both document the date of issue, a serial number, registration number or receipt number, a description of the product, and an authorized informant to notify the appropriate government agency. With all of this information being readily available, the majority of people are unaware of their involvement with Maritime Admiralty law. This is possible through the manipulation of language. This Admiralty law changed the meaning of the word person from a natural living person to a corporation. Driver's licenses, vehicle registrations, auto insurance forms, building permits, gun permits, work permits, tax filing documents, birth and death certificates, traffic citations, and many other forms of documentation that were once believed to be absolutely necessary only applied to persons or corporations. Upon signing such a legal document, you are indirectly waiving your rights under the Constitution and lowering your status to that of a corporation that is created with the same exact name as you. The only way to reconcile your true name from the name of the corporation is to take notice that the corporation has its name in all capital letters. This is known as capitis diminutia maxima. You may take notice that your driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, insurance cards, and more use all capital letters to legally represent the corporation with your name, not you. The corporation is known as an artificial person, whereas you, the human being, are known as a natural person. This deception goes even deeper when it comes to the courts that we attend. When showing up to court, you will notice that there are seats for witnesses behind a wooden fence or barrier. The defendant must cross through the entrance to the other side of the barrier where the plaintiff and judge sit. This act symbolizes the boarding of a ship. At this time, business can be conducted in Maritime Admiralty law. The judge, acting as captain or banker, is responsible for settling the balance between the two sides. This is why there is always a monetary value involved in any court case. The captain is simply dealing with banking and merchant disputes. Once the balance is paid, the case is closed. To turn the court case away from Admiralty law where your rights are not protected, you must avoid agreeing to represent the artificial person. This is done by stating that you are the natural person. You don't have a first or last name because those imply corporate title. In a court case, you may state that the court takes judicial notice of your honor's oath of office. Every judge must take an oath of office to practice law, yet you must make it clear to the court and the jury that the judge is acting as judge and not banker. Remember that you are a natural human being of the earth. You are not governed by anything but your own consciousness. Laws are created within a society. The society that created the laws we see being enforced today is called the Law Society. Yet the most beautiful part of this entire deception is the fact that we are not part of the Law Society, so their laws do not apply to us.
Judges, lawyers, and law enforcement officers, they're all part of a society. Within that society, they've created their own language that's deceptively similar to English. They have these little things called statutes, acts, and regulations that seem like laws, but they really only apply to those within their society. So that basically means all the traffic violations, minimum age requirements, and everything except for damage to another person or their property doesn't really apply to the natural person.
Laws only apply to those within the Law Society. The game being played is an illusion. You can simply choose to open your eyes and reclaim the freedom that you were born with, bound by nothing but the limits of your imagination. These are just a few examples of assuring that your rights are being protected. By far, the most important line of defense against this deception is to be aware of the perversion of language, and be absolutely aware of how you form your beliefs and concepts.
that they are actually entities. Okay, take some of the big corporations, for example. They have a life of their own. Okay, they have a personality of their own. People can recognize it like they can recognize a president. Some companies are famous, some companies are not. You know, the little cafe down the road is not famous, but nor is the owner. You know, but I can tell you now that the way that company is run, that company is an entity. Okay, and it is no different, absolutely no different to the big oil company, because the big oil company has got, and as an AI type of thing, all the companies the way we've been making them at the moment have had one thing in common: profit. That has been the number one intention, because a sigil is an intention. Intention has been profit. Okay, so you're making your little sigil. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make a living. I'm going to make it, you know. And there's the intention. The intention is this thing is profit driven. Okay. If that thing fucking runs away with that thing in mind, like some of these companies have done, now you go and you open a oil company. Okay. You've already, its intention is to make profit. Now the company is running. Do you think this company cares about the environment? Have you mentioned in your sigil that the environment's important when you were creating your registration and all that? No. You built a form of, I mean, you got a board of directors going. If anything, you started thinking about the profits immediately, and just like, it must have crossed your mind what happens if, well, you probably denied it completely. You know, what if this company is, they're bad for the environment? Like, I'll deal with it later. Or you probably just denied it flat, you know? Just blatantly denied it. That's, humans love that one. So, that could have been the problem. But the problem we're facing today, and the problem that we have now, is corporations like, I'm quite sure even the Federal Reserve, I don't even think that the Rothschilds can control it anymore. They are actually just workers for it. They're probably looking back at this freaking monster that they've created, and they probably can't stop it themselves. If they really wanted to, this thing's more powerful than them. Okay, okay, because when it was formed, okay, a Federal Reserve System maybe had a little bit of shady thoughts in it as well. But remember, that carries through. When you form a sigil, when you form a company in its infant stages, those things, as a sigil, it will assign certain demons and certain angels and certain entities, or whatever you want to call them. Okay? But these things are going to be assigned to these thoughts that you are putting into this. And just like humans can create life by having sex with each other, people can create life with thoughts. Okay, so that's actually the point that I'm trying to get to with this whole sigil and corporate things and all this type of thing. Because at the moment, we as people are fucked, because we are serving these things. You know, we've been saying for the years and years and years now, it's like, yeah, what happens when robots come and take over the world? What's going to happen? We didn't actually realize, no one ever asked, what's going to happen when corporations take over the world? We kind of scoff at it now, and we kind of noticed, oh shit, no, these corporations are like quite strict, and they're quite whatever. You know, some of them make you wear uniforms. Why? Profit. Okay? It is automatically doing what the creator. God didn't create the corporate, the human did. We are creators. Thank God we are not God. Okay, because I don't think we are mature enough for that yet. But I think by creating things like corporations and that type of thing, we have to be more vigilant about what the intent is. And if the intent is profit, you might as well go to a backstreet alley and go get your voodoo your little Ouija board and go and do your own little private sigil over there, okay? Because that is going to be socially unacceptable, okay? People start a company and to help the environment. Start a company to clean up the environment. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Money. How am I going to live? Profit. Then the environment. So you assign to the corporate sigils or whatever that people are creating. Number one, you assign a intention. Intention is profit. Number two, you assign it a task, what it's going to be doing. If it's going to be manufacturing oil, that's pretty close. That's two things which is probably enough to get this thing going. Then you feed it with then you start to feed it like a baby. You feed it with money, you feed it with your sweat and your hard work, because this thing's going to start working for you, and this thing's whatever. People think that companies work for them. Have another look. Think again. Has anyone ever created a company that works for them? No. They have worked for they have ended up working for the company. Or they resigned, or they've died, or they've retired. Or they've gone and created another one. God forbid. Like some people do. Some entrepreneurs think, oh, I'm just going to start a whole bunch of businesses and whatever. Okay. It is a good thing to start businesses. It's not a bad thing. But it is a better thing to understand how powerful your thoughts are. And that people need to realize that, here's a good example. Someone working in a bank as in the inquiries desk, at the inquiries desk. Okay, it's just a client. A customer, whatever. Okay, so a customer goes there with a complaint or a problem or whatever. This person wants their job. Actually, wait. Let me just sidestep that just a little bit. The person at the bank who works with the loan. Perfect example. This person now with the loans. People like to believe that if you see the bank manager or you go and see someone in person to get a loan, that person's going to have empathy or this person's going to try to help you or whatever. Big mistake. There is absolutely nothing that person can do. It is already predetermined. The corporation has already, because now we've freaking hooked them up to computers and AI as well. So now this thing's just grown into, now we combine AI and a corporate thing like a bank. Guys, Terminator, here we go. But the thing is, people like to believe, like I remember growing up in the olden days and that, we just need to go see the bank manager. We'll straighten this out. Maybe it kind of worked back then, but now these guys, you're taking out a loan or whatever. Okay, you've got certain questionnaires and half your records are on the freaking system anyway. And if you go there and for some reason it is declined or whatever, you can't, like in the olden days, go and speak to the manager and say, hey, come on, it's a community here, this is, you are the community bank of our little area of our little town. I think it's in best interest of the town that we maybe relook at this, or we find a way to, we can't do that anymore. The guy who's sitting at the bank working with the loans may be the most sympathetic person ever. He may cry with you about your sad story. Okay, but after you leave, he has to punch in something into his computer. Okay, and there's only so many places that he can fill in whatever, and one of the places there is he doesn't have a space for empathy. Okay, there's nothing on the questionnaire where the computer's going to say, should we feel sorry for this person, or do we feel anything, do we feel that maybe we should relook at this. Okay, so unfortunately people's jobs have become have actually already become obsolete, while people are still working in them. They are just serving the machine. The machine's making all the decisions for you. Okay? And how the machine does that is because we have made statutes and rules and regulations around that thing, around the corporation, while forming it, or other before forming it, or while, which we've obviously been updating as years go by and all that type of thing. But the number one intention has always been profit. Okay? Then you've got work, employment contracts and all this type of thing. And if you have a look at some of the stuff that you put in these contracts, it is embarrassing for a person of this planet to actually see what we would make another human being sign. That we would actually bring another human being and gladly give them something like this to sign, knowing that they are, that this is probably an impossible task for them, and knowing that the only reason why you are making this person sign is because you don't want to lose your house, because you fear that you're going to lose your job. Okay, so people are doing things to each other. These corporations actually have us doing all the work for them. Corporations do nothing. They just sit there. They are the Satan. They are the bad entities. The people are just the freaking slaves. And I can tell you now, even the most wealthy, the most powerful people in the world are not as powerful as these freaking things that we have created. And they are all over. Everywhere you look, they are freaking everywhere. And they control every single aspect of our lives. And it all started off, yes, we created them. Problem number one. Problem number two, these things have basically grown from little ideas, little sparks of ideas. They have grown into fully mature entities, and may possibly, if you want on the spiritual side, possibly been assigned certain angels and demons. If not, just ignore this comment. But if you don't believe in that, just ignore the comment. But it is it's quite scary to think if there are demons assigned to these things. Because let's have a look at how a sigil is made. Let's have a look at the simplest form of black magic, having a Ouija board, all that type of thing. Deny it as much as you want. It's true. The stuff is true. Okay. Corporations we have created, and we have put profit as its intention. It is for that reason that a corporation would start a war, because a big oil company is just working for profit. A big oil company is also stuffing up the environment, but a big oil company will have as its personality, as its core, it won't allow anyone to bring in free energy, because that corporation will not allow it, and anyone who works for that corporation would not allow it, because they would have to support that or lose their job. Therefore, we have had no free energy for all this time. So, as a good example, the oil industry is actually a perfect example of that. The banking industry is another good example. Okay, how do we fix this? How do we stop it? We have to put man first before the corporation. We have to put each other first before the corporation. We have to change and relook at these statutes and rules and laws that these companies are making, and think for ourselves. Okay, and one of the places to start is to if anything, change in the laws of these companies that they can't get rid of you. Okay, we just need to take our power back from them. How do you do that? One, you have to realize and acknowledge that they have power over you. Then you've got to think about it for a good little bit of time, and realize how freaking much power they've got over you. That these things can start freaking wars. You start a company that makes weapons. Guess what it wants to do? Make profit. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to make a lot of weapons, and it's going to find people to sell it to, or it's going to create. You see, people, wake up. We need to realize what we are freaking doing to each other. Okay, this profit thing is not working anymore. Okay, just get onto freaking Bitcoin or whatever, and if you feel for 1 second that what I'm saying is a threat to your job or to your to your company that you work for or anything like that, you're a slave to that company. Instead of thinking that, think about what's best for fellow man. Don't make people sign things that you know is going to be hard and difficult for them. Don't make people dress up like fucking stupid uniforms and that type of thing because you think it's psychologically pleasing that these people look like that. People need to create. People need to be creative. People need to be themselves. These corporations are trying to make us all the same. And at the end of the day, all you have to do is look at the markets and look at the forex and look at all that type of stuff, and you'll see these companies are just battling each other. They have got it all, including you, your kids, and your grandkids. And if we don't put a stop to this now, it's too late, because it's just met AI. Okay, and it's teaching AI profit.
Seen James Brown drop down in the splits, and his polyester pants didn't even make a split. That was me, Papa Legba. When you seen James Brown feet move like lightning, that was because of the deal he made with me that some of y'all call frightening. It was me, Papa Legba. You want gain and fortune and big crowds to scream your name? Come to the crossroads, and I, Papa Legba, will give you fame. F-A-M-E. I give you fame. When James Brown was a little younger, he went to the crossroads. Shit, James Brown could always sing. But James Brown wanted the whole package. He wanted to know how to dance. He wanted to know how to motherfucking perform. And he wanted motherfucker to love him. Cause when he was younger, his daddy ain't do nothing but sing with him, then beat his ass. His mama left at a young age. So he was left feeling unloved. And the crossroads seemed like the only good thing to do at that time. James Brown went to the crossroads one night before midnight with his microphone in his shoes. James Brown asked for the gift of singing to enhance, and he asked for dancing shoes. If any of y'all was raised up in a church, y'all know how they start dancing when the spirit hit that ass. Okay. That's how James Brown wanted to move his feet. Just like that, with a little twist to it. With a little rhythm and blues twist to it. James Brown sat on the corner of the crossroads with his microphone in his shoes. The spirit came to James Brown in the form of a black man, like a shadow type figure. James Brown gave him the microphone in his shoes. The spirit took the shoes and the microphone. He put the shoes on his feet, started dancing like James Brown danced today. He took the microphone and started singing the way we hear James Brown singing today. He gave him back the microphone and his shoes. James Brown put the shoes on his feet, took the microphone in his hand, started singing and dancing, mocking the spirit the same way the spirit was singing and dancing. James Brown put this shit on. He was able to do the same exact thing. In the middle of James Brown dancing, the black man, the shadowy figure, Papa Legba, at the crossroads, disappeared out of nowhere. James Brown went on about his way, start blowing up. Everybody start hearing about him. Motherfuckers start performing everywhere. Then all of a sudden, James Brown started getting old. I said the motherfucker start getting old. Looking in the mirror and shit like, this face ain't the face I want no more. This shit right here ain't working. Motherfucker tried to drop down in the splits. Shh. Polyester pants, splitting and shit. Just wasn't working. James Brown went back to the crossroads to renegotiate the contract that he made with the spirit, the black man, Papa Legba, at the crossroads. James Brown was willing. Y'all better understand this. I said James Brown was willing to sacrifice anybody at this motherfucking time to become younger and have the gift that he used to motherfucking have. Doing them splits and shit, moving, dancing, being able to sing without all that coughing and shit. You know how he used to do it. Check it out. James Brown made a deal to become younger. I know y'all see these pictures going on around the internet and shit. Jay-Z, Queen Latifah, Nicolas Cage. These pictures of them back. 1800s and shit, 1900s and shit. Say, how is that possible? Well, I'm gonna tell you how that's possible. I want you to just let that marinate on your mind real quick. He traded a sunrise for a sunset. You know what that means? Well, I'm gonna let you think on it. Cause I'm gonna come back with another video. And I'm gonna break some shit down. How's that possible? Seeing these pictures of Nicolas Cage, Jay-Z, and all them superstars. Pictures of them way back in the 1900s and shit. You better understand. Every one of them motherfuckers I just named, they made deals, pacts with the spirits at the crossroads. You better understand. Like I say, the shit is real. What you think is just a fairy tale. Oh, spirits ain't real. Think that shit just kindergarten. You better understand, the spiritual world is real. I done seen some things that'll shock the shit out of you. I done heard some things that'll shock the shit out of you. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Snakes in the belly ain't real. At one time I thought that shit was fake myself. till I seen it with my own motherfucking eyes. Till it happened to somebody in my family. Or bitch was a believer then. Y'all want story time? I said, do y'all really want story time? Because if y'all want story time, I'll bring it. But the stories that I got, ain't no kindergarten shit. Ain't no preschool shit. Ain't even for high schoolers. Have to be college type for this type of shit here. Stephen King ain't got no shit on me. Cause the stories that I bring, fuck fiction. It's real life shit. Look at your neighbor and say the spiritual world is real. Spiritual world is real. When you can set up your altar and then a spirit come to you and tell you some things that you ain't never knew. Look at your neighbor and say, the spiritual world is definitely motherfucker real. Just cause you can't do it and ain't doing it. That's right. Don't mean it ain't being done. I know motherfuckers. I ain't gonna get all in my business. How I know what I know. Just know that I know. And I bring it unto you. I bring it unto thou. Shit. So y'all can know what the hell going on around this motherfucker. Yeah. People who can speak with the spirits. And they tell them everything that they want to know. If you appease the spirits and give them what they like, they gonna give you what you like. Can I be real? I said, can I just be real? Because see, when you come on this channel, I'm gonna give it to you real. 100%. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. See, people want to give you information about stuff and they want to just sugarcoat. Nah, tell me everything so I can be aware. Some of y'all sitting here today listening to my channel got roots done on y'all that y'all don't even know how to get off. That y'all didn't even know was placed on you. That's why it pays to know some things. If I would have known, goddammit, not to eat the motherfucking spaghetti, then my ass wouldn't have been voodooed. Oh, because, I would have known it was blood in the motherfucking spaghetti. And now I'm fucked up. Catch that. I said some of y'all walking around today, cursed. Don't know why shit happening to you. Damn, ever since I fucked him, ever since I fucked her, it seemed like shit just been going crazy with me. The fuck? Ha! You better understand. The curses and the spells, the witchcraft, the black magic. This shit is real. Now back on James Brown, I want y'all to know something. When you look at this picture, it's two different bodies in two different caskets. Now I want y'all to let that marinate on your brains for a minute, because I'm going to have to come back with part 2. Picture of James Brown. Motherfucker, in two different caskets with two different outfits. You put it together. You put it together. Ask yourself a question. What's really going on with James Brown? Haha, that's the real question right there. Part 2 coming back.
What is the Intel Management System and why should you care? What is the ARC processor, jointly developed by Goldman Sachs and others for the Internet of Things? The combination of these technologies results in the crown jewel of the hardware facet of the worldwide Talmudic Telpiot takeover program, or TOP for short. This Talmudic technological takeover is part hardware and software, but also people, placing them in key positions around the world. It's a fully integrated combination flesh and blood backdoor, or FAB, into the world's high-tech infrastructure, which includes the emerging Smart Cities program combined with the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. But the crown jewel of the Telpiot program is the ARC processor that sits within the Intel Management System, a CPU sitting physically within the Intel CPU with its own fully functioning Linux-based operating system, completely transparent to the Windows, Apple or Linux-based operating system functioning at the user level. This is the ultimate backdoor of backdoors, and it was designed and fabricated in Israel as the basis of the new Core series of Intel CPUs, integrated between 2006 and 2008. These are the same CPUs that all server farms all over the world use. Every Google server farm, Facebook, corporate, public and private. The NSA insisted on a patch that could switch off the Intel Management System for sensitive systems. No such luck for us mere mortals. The Intel Management Engine cannot be switched off and is a wide open hardware backdoor for Israel to get into any and all computer systems around the world. If you think the AMD line of CPUs are a safe option, think again. They have the platform security processor and it has the exact same problems. Besides, AMD, once a joint operation between Texas Instruments and the Chinese government, is now virtually wholly owned and controlled by China. The ARC processor is tiny and its multiple formats. It is filling the Internet of Things, from light bulbs to self-driving cars to robots, you name it. Think about it. Think about the power this gives the Israeli state and this Talmudic technological takeover.
They come to a great river, which serves as the boundary of hell, and many souls wait for a boat ride from Charon, who appears in Greek mythology on the river into Hades. You'll notice a lot of Greek and Roman mythology seeping into this poem as we go on. Now about the pronunciation, Charon isn't likely the Greek pronunciation, but I'm going off how astronomers pronounce Charon when talking about the moon of Pluto with the same name. So Sharon crosses with them and we encounter the first real circle of hell, and this one is called Limbo. These are quote-unquote virtuous pagans. They've done great deeds, lived morally right lives, but either didn't accept Christianity, lived long before it existed, or they were never baptized. God granted passage of a few figures, such as Noah and Moses, to enter heaven, but it's phrased as a rare occurrence. This is where Virgil and other poets and philosophers exist, so Virgil will return here after their adventure. There isn't a physical punishment, but rather a general sadness that they are so close to heaven but forever kept outside. The second circle of hell that they approach is for the lustful. These are those that gave in to pleasure and are now cursed with eternity in the midst of a raging storm. Wind so strong that it whips them about uncontrollably, ravaging them against the rocks. The third circle of hell continues to rain, but now it is filth raining from the sky, and those that are gluttonous and consumed in excess lay on the ground unable to move, forever pelted with debris and sewage. In this level, Dante also sees the monster Cerberus prowling. In Greek mythology, Cerberus is the three-headed dog that keeps souls in Hades. It's interesting that Dante continues to mix mythology and religion here. Similar to those that are gluttonous, our fourth circle is for the greedy. Here we see a demon named Plutus, who in Greek mythology was the god of money and wealth. The greedy here are forever battling each other, rolling giant boulders into each other, a constant jousting match. There is no reprieve from the battle. Our fifth circle is against a giant river, the river Styx. The wrathful and angry are kept here, forever fighting each other, clawing and biting in anger. The sullen and gloomy are also kept here, submerged under the water, forced to breathe and choke on the black mud, withdrawn from the world. Virgil and Dante cross the river and they approach lower hell, the worst of the worst. There is a city here, and it's guarded by fallen angels who turn Virgil and Dante away. No living man may enter, they shout. Here is the first place where Virgil holds no sway or influence and may not be able to protect Dante. Now, for some reason, a messenger from heaven arrives and tells these angels that they should open the gates to travelers, and they reluctantly obey. Virgil and Dante walking into a graveyard with tombstones covered in flames. Here lie the heretics, those that pronounced other false religions. Even though they've seen a lot already, Virgil prepares Dante for the next circle, for those who are violent. There are many types of violence, the first being violent to others, like murderers and warlords. This circle also might be for those who are violent to themselves, committing acts of suicide. Lastly, those that are violent against God, such as blasphemers against God and violent against nature, God's creation. Virgil and Dante meet and ask a creature named Geryon to take them to the eighth circle of hell. This beast is a symbol of fraud, as he has the face of a man which tricks you while he stings you with a scorpion tail. In this story, he's got massive wings and flies our heroes to the next level, which is for fraud itself. In this level, it's a bowl, almost, with demons torturing people all around, those that have deceived and manipulated others during their life. This includes pimps and sexual manipulators, as well as gamblers and people who created false money. We also have fortune tellers with their heads placed backwards so they can only see behind them. These punishments are terrifying, yet apt to their crimes. In the final circle of hell, we have Satan himself, a giant three-headed beast that is forever flapping his giant wings, which makes this level of hell actually frozen, and most of Satan's body is encased in ice. He is forever punishing the three greatest betrayers in history: Judas, who betrayed Jesus Christ, and Brutus and Cassius, who betrayed Julius Caesar. There are other men completely frozen in ice, those that have betrayed their family, their God, or their country. As an author, Dante makes some sharp criticisms during these last few circles, including referencing political parties and real people. They all exist in the deepest bowels of hell for what they supposedly did. Virgil takes Dante and they climb down Satan's frozen body until they end up at his feet, which is now somehow turned upside down. So they now begin their ascent back to the surface, but on the other end of the planet. Their adventure to the surface is quick, and they now arrive at the base of Purgatory. This is where Dante's Inferno ends and the poem Dante's Purgatorio begins. You might ask at this point why Purgatorio and Paradiso aren't as popular. I think it's the same reason why people are obsessed with serial killers and crime shows on television. We're drawn to the dark and terrifying. It also might have to do with people wanting to compare their own sins against the metric of Inferno, maybe in an effort to feel better about their mistakes. We'll continue the epic poem next week.